Yeah, it's going to bring us on to red, back to commons, back to cheap stuff. Plasma Bolt, up next. This is a single red mana for a sorcery. It deals 2 damage to any target, but if Void is active, 3 damage instead. Man, this card would be really, really great as an instant. As a sorcery, still okay. Still okay.
It still would be great in some sets. I just figure in this set, like the cheap burn spells and the cheap removal spells just might have slightly less targets than usual. So we both gave it a C plus. Still be a good card, but I don't think it cracks it into the range.
No, I agree. And maybe even a little bit more of like a black-red card than anything else. Because I do think there's a fairly big difference between voiding and not. Because, yeah, I think like you'll want to be able to do that. Which it's not exclusively a black-red thing, but Slag Drill Scrapper is a single red mana 1/2 artifact creature. Has the ability to tap it, sack another artifact or land, draw a card.
I anticipate these will come around as last picks on Arena, and I think this is actually a card I'm going to play more than people might expect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's like a solid little 1-drop.
Yeah, it's got types. It can enable sacrifice things. There's a lot of expensive cards, but there's not a lot of mana sinks in this set. So I think you can throw lands away later on. We both gave it a C minus.
Yeah, enables Void. It taps itself for the red-white deck, right? Little things.
Yep.
Drill Too Deep is 1 red for an instant. Choose one. Either put 5 charge counters on target spacecraft or planet you control. That's a rare thing, so don't worry about that. Mostly spacecrafts. Or destroy target artifact.
So instant speed, waking up your spacecraft is interesting, but not enough to make it a main deck card. I think we both gave it a.
Yeah, I think still sideboard. It's cool. You can definitely keep your eye out for this, especially in the early days of getting ambushed by this. But yeah, I don't think you want to main deck it. Melded Moxite is 1 red for an artifact. When it enters, you may discard a card if you do draw 2 cards, and you can sack it for 3 mana to make a tapped 2/2 robot token. Cool. Yeah, this is a really nice variant of these pitch 1, draw 2 cards.
Yeah, I really like this card. I gave this a C plus. I think this is just exactly what your red decks want to make sure the gas keeps flowing. You gave it a C.
Yeah, yep. Seems good. Oreplate Pangolin is 1 red for a 2/2 artifact creature, and whenever another artifact you control enters, you can pay 1. If you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Pangolin. Yeah, pretty solid.
I like this thing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I
think it's just better than pretty solid. It's the 2 drops that are actually relevant going into the late game. Like, it's decently statted. You don't necessarily need to trigger it on turn 3 or turn 4, but this demands one of your opponent's removal spells.
Yeah.
You need another 2 drop.
Yeah. C plus then?
Yeah. I give it a C plus, you give it a C.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see coming up on it. Rig for War is 1 red for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike and reach until end of turn. Kind of a middling combat trick. Whatever, right?
Another defensive one with that reach.
With the reach, yeah, so strange. I mean, I guess it makes sense to those spacecrafts. That's the idea. Yeah, one of the... I guess you mentioned that there's no common white pump spell. We just haven't seen a lot of pump spells in general. I think that's pointing towards, yeah, they want games to go a little bit longer, and even with this red pump spell, it's not a particularly strong one. So,
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we gave it, I think, both somewhere in the D range, right?
Both Ds.
Yeah.
Double Ds.
Zookeeper Mechan is 1 red for a 1/3 artifact creature. Taps to add red, just straight up, and a 6 mana ability, 6 red. Target creature you control gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Activate that only as a sorcery. So, yeah, we last saw this red mana dork in Tarkir, right? With the 3/1 that could kill a flyer. And it always kind of felt a little bit like cheating when your red deck got to ramp, right? A little bit of a different card, because part of that card was 2 mana 3/1 that can start beating down. This can't do that as well, but I still think a pretty darn good 2-drop.
Well, we just saw Gubu Gardener do better than expected in the last set.
Mm-hmm.
This has types and a mana sink.
And it taps itself, baby.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. We'll give it a C plus. This card's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I really like this. Bombard. Single, or a super easy card here. 3 mana, instant, deals 4 to target creature.
Solid removal. Might not kill everything you want it to, though. C plus from both of us.
Yep. Frontline War Rager, 2 in a red for a 2/3, and at the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
There are a lot of these self-growing creatures.
Yeah,
in this set.
so many. So many. Like on the last day of this card's coming out, like the last big dump of commons. I feel like every other card was like, hey, if you do a thing, I get a counter. Like so many of the cards. It's just like very common template in this set. Not a very exciting one here, though, I would say.
No, we both gave it a D.
Yeah. Cavron Turbo Drone. Cool name. Cavron Turbo Drone. 2 in a red for a 2/3 artifact creature. Tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, solid.
I think this card's really sweet.
Yeah, me too.
It plays really nicely with your warp stuff.
Yes. They're haste enabler, right? That's I said there wasn't very many in the set, but I actually forgot about this one when I said that.
Yeah, it taps itself for red white. Like it adding even just like tapping as a sorcery to give something +1/+1 will sometimes cut otherwise. I think this card's kind of sweet, although you do want to be with it. We both gave it a C.
Yep, I would agree. Cav Landseeker up next. This is 3 in a red for a 4/3 menace. When it enters, you make a lander token, but you got to exile that lander token on your end step. Or sorry, sacrifice it.
The next step on your end step of your next turn.
Oh, of your next turn. I misread this card. Sorry. Okay, a little bit better than I expected. So yeah, let's try this again. So 4 mana, 4/3 menace. That lander token sticks around until the end of your next turn. So you gotta use it or lose it, or sacrifice it or something. Yeah, kind of a weird one.
I agree, because we've seen this like red awkwardness with draw spells where you get cards that you draw that you can only play until the end of your turn.
Yeah.
And it's always so much worse than drawing a card.
Mm-hmm.
This is similar, where like you can't. Your aggressively statted 4/3 menace wants you to spend 2 mana next to the next turn, not impacting the board.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's a landfall card, right? I guess is kind of the idea, like a green-red landfall card.
Right, but you need to specifically have like a 3-drop in hand to be happy with doing that, right?
Yes, I agree. Yeah, what do we end up giving it? Because I could see us just being wrong about this one.
I could see me wrong in either direction. We both gave it a C-.
Yeah, very cowardly grade. Orbital Plunge is 3 in a red for a sorcery. It deals 6 damage to target creature. And if excess damage is dealt, you make a lander token. So as long as you kill something that's 5, 4, 3 toughness, yeah, you straight up get a lander token. Kind of a 2-for-1.
Another Red's just got 3 good removal spells.
Yeah.
We both gave it a C+ again.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting. I could see this one being better than the cheap 1 mana one, right? Like often is the case that like the shock variant is one of the better ones, but like kills a lot of things and makes a lander token, like that's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
This might be the best out of all 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah.
Red Tiger Mechan is up next. This is 3 in a red for a 3/3 haste artifact creature with a warp cost of 1 in red. Yeah.
Is right. Yeah.
And on both sides.
If you're warping it to push damage, it means you're not impacting the board for the next turn. Like a fate ability. I gave it a D. You gave it a D+.
Yeah, it does give you like 1 more tapped creature, maybe, if that's what you're looking to do. But yeah, it's whatever. It's not anything too special. Caveron Skywarden is a 4 in a red 4/5 reach, and the void ability says whenever you void, so whenever at the beginning of your end step, if an all-in permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Yeah, whatever.
Yep. Not a Thunderhead Gunner.
Yeah.
D from both of us.
I was gonna say, you know what would make this card good? If you could discard a card once per turn to draw a card. That's my design fix for that card. Here's a very strange one too. Nebula Dragon, 6 and a red for a 4/4 flyer that when it comes in, it deals 3 to any target. So like, yeah, just weird card. I think once again going back to like the splashable expensive thing. Is this maybe for the blue-green deck? Like, is a splashable common kind of finisher-y card?
Yeah, it's really weird that they felt this needed a spot in the card file.
Right. Yeah.
Don't know how. Yeah, don't know what to make of that because obviously it's intentionally put there. But I'm starting off as a pessimist. I gave it a D plus. You're barely higher at a C minus.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of just the exact same thing you just say. Like, why is this here? Which I think is a pretty good question to ask yourself when you're just evaluating a new set. Like, you know, these days the design file is pretty tight. They don't just throw in junk in there for no reason. Although the Iron Golem or whatever it was, the 7-mana 6/6 artifact creature from the last set may say differently. But in general, it's like, why is this card here? Is usually a good question to ask for like figuring out, weird kind of intricacies of the set. That's gonna bring us on to some uncommons now. So once again, going back to some cheap stuff. So our first red uncommon is going to be Full Bore. Single red mana for an instant. Target creature you control gets +3/+2 until end of turn. If that creature was cast for its warp cost, it also gains trample and haste until end of turn. Interesting.
That warp text is. I mean, we have the 3-mana warp 9/9. You can attack them for 12 trample haste.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. Scary card.
Yeah, this pushes potentially a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat into this. So, like, in terms of tricks, like we talked about, if you're going to be aggressive, it might be. We're going to see a lot of those in the red uncommon.
Sorry, I cut out there for a last second there. You said if you're aggressive something?
I would say if you're aggressive, a lot of that's going to come from the uncommons. We're about to see that in the.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you just treat this as like a fine combat trick, like worse giant growth, of course, that sometimes you get to combo kill with. Yeah, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, C minus from me, C from you.
I keep mispronouncing this word. It's gonna be on a lot of cards. So I should probably say it right. Cavaron. Yeah, that's it. Cavaron Harrier. Single red mana for a 2/1 artifact creature. Whenever this creature attacks, you can pay 2. If you do, you make a 2/2 robot token that's tapped and attacking. Sack it at the end of combat. Yeah, nice little 1-drop.
Nice aggressive card. Creates 2 tap things. Creates a void token. Because notably it's end of combat, not a...
Oh, sorry. Yes, end of combat.
Yeah, post-combat main phase, you'll have void triggered. I gave it a C. You gave it a C+.
Next up, we've got Invasive Maneuvers. Funny name. 1 and red for an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature, or 5 damage if you control a spacecraft. Yeah, real nice.
Nice card. Very efficient. We both gave it a B-.
Yeah. Remnant Elemental is 1 and a red for a 0/4 reach. Landfall gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
Do you see this as an aggressive card or a controlling card?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Rorschach test of Magic cards. I think this card is mostly an aggressive card. Like, it just is a 2/4, 2-mana 2/4, attacks pretty well in the early game. That it's kind of weird because it's a 2-mana 2/4, but it stops attacking at some point, theoretically, or on some turns, I should say, which is a pretty big downside. But then, yeah, I can like chump block a big spacecraft, or like 4 toughness is a lot. Like, there's a lot of 3 power flyers. So I kind of see it as like good aggressive card that maybe blocks later. So it's a weird one. It's a weird one. What do you think?
Well, it's pretty. You haven't mentioned the fact that it's quite nice with landers.
Oh, for sure.
Just as
Yeah.
Like as a threat of activation, even too.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But yeah, I also, I mean, part of the reason I asked is because I just genuinely supposed to be an aggressive card or not. I could see it being okay in either deck. I don't think it's going to be incredible in either. I gave it a C minus. You gave it a C.
Yeah, landfall limited. Slight sidebar here, but limited landfall archetypes always fall in this weird space of like, yeah, you generally want to end the game, Like a lot of times, like green-red, it's like, yeah, you want to like be attacking, but then they'll throw in a card like this, or like a 6-drop landfall card, and it's like, okay, I don't really like. It's a little bit dissonant with what's going on. So maybe it's like one of those things where you just have to say, hey, if you're this like landfall theme, you really have to say, am I late game landfall or early game landfall? And yeah, maybe this card's just good in both. So we'll see.
It's really good with that 8-drop green mythic that we're going to see on the
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, a little bit of a preview for a future day. Terra Pact Intimidator up next. Oh man, I love this kind of card. 1 or red for a 2/1. When it enters, target opponent may have you create 2 lander tokens. If they don't, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this creature. And when I say this kind of card, I mean like a Punisher effect that is actually like a tough choice for, you know, your opponent's not just like, okay, whatever, I'll just choose the one that's not as bad for me. Both these are very, very tricky. So yeah.
So this is basically just a 2-mana 4/3, right?
I think so too, because like giving your opponents 2 lander tokens on turn 2 is wild, right? That just feels really, really, really tough.
But it's also like on turn 8, there's no way you want to give them those.
Right. Yes, that is true too. I think that it's going to depend on what your opponent, like what you have in hand. When your opponent plays this, like obviously if you're like, okay, I have a removal spell, great, snap it off. But if your hand's a little slow, you might give them the lander tokens. You're like, I like can't take 8 from this thing. And like if they want to spend mana landfalling or, you know, ramping, sure, but at least I get to buy time to cast my 6 and 7 drop or whatever. So yeah, I think it's gonna be like, do you have a removal spell or a blocker? And not all blockers deal with this. Okay, sure, you give them the counters. I think it's gonna be mostly the mode you choose, but sometimes you'll choose to give them lands.
Okay, follow-up question. On Arena, you know, playing at whatever, Diamond Mythic, is this better or worse than a 1 and a red 4/3?
Worse? Yeah, I would assume like if your opponent is good, it is worse.
But like, is the average Arena opponent good enough? Like, so my point being, like, obviously it's downside that your opponent gets to choose something. But if they're supposed to choose one and they choose the wrong thing, like it can be upside.
It's really bad. I see. Yeah, I mean, this is true. I do think I like to give credit at least to like Diamond and above, that like that they'll mostly make the right play. But you're right. Sometimes they won't, especially in the early games, or early days of the format. People are learning the cards.
Yeah, super interesting card. I mean, if we just assume it's a 2-mana 4, stations super well. It, you know, trades up. It's fantastic card. We both gave it a B.
Yep. Yeah, seems very cool. Cut Propulsion is up next. This is 2 and a red for an instant. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. If that creature had flying, it deals twice that damage instead. So it's like red murder for, I don't know, but I haven't done the number. I haven't run the numbers. Maybe Sirkovitz knows these offhand if he's done the analysis, but like, I don't know, red murder for like 70% of the card file, maybe?
That sounds about right, because there are a lot of things with greater toughness and power, but some of those do have flying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do we give it?
I just the awkwardness. I gave it a C-. You gave it a C.
Yeah, sounds right to me. We got Litho Breaking up next. This is 2 and a red for an instant. You make a lander token, and then you can sack an artifact. And if you do, Litho Breaking deals 2 damage to each creature. Kind of an interesting card.
Sorry, side note. Sirkovitz is in chat, and he said 70%.
Sorry, say it again. I missed that.
Exactly 70% it hits.
Oh, beauty. Look at that. Just
you called it dead on the nose.
Clean guess. Thank you, Sirkovitz. Appreciate it. And also, hello, Raiders from Voxy's stream. How's it going? Litho Breaking. What do we think?
So this is the first of our actual sweepers. Being a mini one. This one, I would like this in a lot of other sets. I do worry again to be enough small creatures to really care about it, but I like the text on it.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, somewhat modal. Instant deal 2s are always better than sorcery ones, because you can in combat you can do something interesting with them sometimes.
And you can also like sacrifice one of your artifact creatures that was going to die to this,
Sure. Yeah,
and so be
totally.
left with like a lander in play. So there's some interesting play patterns here too.
Yeah, hard one to grade. These are always tricky to grade. Like Fire Magic from the last set was, I think, one of the best versions of that effect we've ever seen. This one, I think, worse. But yeah, like I said, always really tricky to grade these ones. What do you think? What do we give it?
Well, I'm just while we're on the subject, I did call Fire Magic at the
Yeah,
set
you did. You did.
review,
Yeah, point to Mark. Point to Mark.
but this one, yeah, also far less confident about this one than I was with C minus, and I could see that swinging in either direction. You gave it a C.
Yep. Next up, Molecular Modifier. This is 1 in red for a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0, gains first strike until end of turn. So this is a 3 mana Slayer, or what was that card? Most Valuable Slayer from
I was
Duskmourn.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 less toughness, but 1 less mana. I think is a trade-off I would take every day of the week.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this. I was, pretty into Most Valuable Slayer. Even okay, we both gave this card a C plus.
Yep. I think that seems good to me. Okay, Ruinous Rampage up next. 1 red for a sorcery. Either it deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Strict sideboard card, I would say.
Sweeper number 2, straight in the sideboard. Yeah.
Yep. Systems Override is 2 red for a sorcery. You gain control of target artifact or creature until end of turn. You untap it. It gains haste until end of turn, and if it's a spacecraft, you put 10 charge counters on it. And if you do, you remove those charge counters at the beginning of the next end step. So that's a cool line of text, but I think mostly we're thinking about this as a red-black steal and sacrifice card.
It does push, like if your opponent is tapping their entire board to crew up their spacecraft, any like aggressive deck, this is potentially quite a good finisher.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, especially because, like, there are very big things to take, and what this card is pointing to, like a big spacecraft.
I agree. I mean, it's insanely good in red-black. Probably the grade we gave is even too low. But I could see playing this in non-black decks.
Sure.
We both gave it a C plus.
Yeah, totally. Next up is Weft Stalker Ardent, which is a 2 red, 2/3. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Warp cost of a single red mana. So sort of like I mean, not exactly a combo-y card, but very similar feeling to the black. Whenever something dies, you draw a card. Or you you drain the opponent for 1. Like, smallish body. Really wants to be in like a blue-red deck, I guess. Maybe responsible for like 3-4 damage if you're lucky. The warp cost, very similar, kind of feels like, oh, it's a 1 mana warp for your void, not so much like, oh, I'm really going to warp this in pretty consistently.
Yeah, I don't believe. I mean, we had a similar card in MH3 that had Unearth, and it had tons of things that made multiple bodies.
Oh, yeah. The Molten, whatever that thing was. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that set was pretty juiced, but that card, even then, with those ups, do that well. I'm not a believer in this. We both gave it a D plus.
Yeah, I think it's just a little too finicky. Memorial Team Leader is up next. This is 3 red for a 4/3. During your turn, other creatures you control get +1/+0, and Warp for 1 red.
I kind of like this thing.
Yeah, it's okay. It like, yeah, I don't know. I was trying to, like, what is my apprehension? I don't know. I agree. I kind of like it. It's okay. Like, nothing too exciting, but a fine card.
Yeah, I'm higher than you, and I do think you might be right, though, still. I gave it a C plus, you gave it a C. It's probably going to be a C.
Yeah, +1/+0, like, for that to really have an effect, I think you have to be going wide to some degree, because, like, +1/+1, that makes your creatures actually harder to block. +1/+0 kind of only, like, pushes a little more damage.
Its station's better, too.
Okay. Now you're talking. I forgot about that. That is true. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. Something in the C range, though. Roving Actuator is a 3 red, 3/4. with Void, also an artifact creature. Void ability says when it enters, if you voided, you get to cast a instant or sorcery card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard, copy it, cast it without paying its mana cost. So very build around-y in both, like, you got to be voiding and you have to have a density of cheap spells. Pretty darn good, though, if you can do it.
Is this another red, black, gold card, though?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine any other... Maybe red, blue could do it, but, like, there's not that many cheap spells in blue. That, like, you're like, oh, I really want to flash this back. Like, it's a counter spell, or... I mean, I guess there's a draw spell, but black seems like the best place for it. I mean, red's got the shock.
Right, well, I was just going to say it also specifically plays well with cheap removal, because then your first, like, you on turn 5 or turn 6, you cast the removal spell and kill something which triggers Void.
Yeah.
And then you cast the Actuator, which flashes it back. So, like, in red and black, you've got the common at shock, like the shock at common. You've got the 3 damage thing at uncommon, and then in black, Bone Splinters. You have the kill something with 3 or less power, and you have the -2/-2 that gives -10/-10 if you voided.
Yeah.
So there's at least 5 things at common and uncommon in red black that work with this, and less so in some of the other colors.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Okay, and what do we give it? Kind of it's a build around, but like what's the stamp here?
We both gave it a C.
Yeah, sounds good. Next up, we've got sorry, this is a spacecraft, not the spacecraft I was thinking about, but it's an interesting one. Debris Field Crusher is 4 in a red for a 1/5 spacecraft. Deals 3 damage when it enters to any target, and to turn it on, it's 8 or more counters. Becomes a flying 1/5 that has the ability 1 in a red. The spacecraft gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So this is one that again was previewed fairly early. And I think kind of set the tone for a lot of people going like, oh man, 5 mana, 3 damage, like that's kind of rough. And then Station 8 to become a 1/5, like that's kind of rough. But I kind of like the package here.
Well, I do too. We both gave it a C-,
Yeah.
but it's not great.
No, like you're never feeling like you're super getting away with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that pump ability is pretty real though. Like it's often gonna attack for 6. Well, I guess not ever almost, but yeah, for 5 or 7.
5 or 7
yeah. That's how multiples of 2 work. when one power base. I don't know. Yeah, I could even see this coming up a bit. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it creeps into like C+ territory, but yeah, I'll stick with our C-.
I think one of the issues is that often you'll likely station is going to be split over 2 turns, maybe even 3 turns in some games, but let's say 2 turns on average. So you tap some number of creatures the first turn you cast it, and then you untap, play another creature, and tap out to activate it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that this thing doesn't really deter attacks.
Sure.
With that one card.
Yeah, that is fair.
That's more my concern with it.
Okay. Yeah. Vault Guard Trooper, up next. 4 in a red for a 5/5. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, discard your hand, and if you do, you draw 2 cards. So, another one with like...
You may discard it.
Yeah, sorry. You may. You don't have to.
Important line of text there, yeah.
Another sort of pseudo enter the battlefield effect.
Yeah, similar to the black one that kind of required some hoops to draw cards. We in this case, both agreed that this one is a C-.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be tough to like line it up to feel like you're really like you have the tap creatures and you don't have anything in your hand you really care about discarding. Could it be a little bit lower? Honestly, I think this might be another like finicky red card, but we'll see. Okay, this is
this one is nice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like we talked about how a lot of times these 2 tapped creatures things will be from crewing spaceship.
Yeah.
But this one is nice if you are the like attacking version, the like low to the ground, red, try and kill you quickly, and then this is your like topper, where you have tapped creatures from attacking, your hand is empty.
Yes.
You've used it all on like cheap burn and tricks. Like this might be a spot where you play the 2 mana +3/+0 first strike reach thing, because I could see that kind of comboing off a little bit.
Just being like all in aggressive red is kind of the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Galvanizing Saw Ship up next, 5 in a red for a spacecraft. A kind of vanilla one, no enter the battlefield effect. It's Flying Haste 6/5. Station cost is only 3 though. That hits hard. That's a low cost. This one seems pretty scary.
It hits like a truck. It's also concerning. So actually, I'm just kind of, the gears are turning right now. You obviously don't want your opponent to have a spell with this because it's kind of a bit of a blowout. But if you're the opponent, let's say your opponent has one creature that's like a 3/3 and casts this, you have an interesting decision as to whether you're supposed to point the removal spell at the creature in response or at the saw ship once it's been stationed.
Yeah.
Because in theory, if you kill the creature, they might not, play a turn and then it's not doing anything. So yeah, some interesting tension here. But if your opponent's tapped and you just get to like untap and 6 them to the face and threaten doing it again next turn,
Yeah,
it's gonna feel like the game's unlosable.
exactly. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, so what do we give it?
I crept into the B range for this. I gave it a B minus, and you were at a C plus.
I don't even know what chat's talking about, what card, but they're like, that's gonna be great in Omni Draft. Oh, I guess the last one we talked about, that's drawing 2 cards. I like where your head's at, chat. Just thinking way way in the future for evaluating these cards. Territorial Bruntar. Bruntar is a 4 red 6/6 reach with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, exile the top card of your library until you exile a non-land, and you can play that card this turn. Gotta pay for the mana and everything, though. Yeah, strange one. This is exactly what I was talking about, where it's just like, yeah, aggro landfall, but also here's a 6 mana 6/6 reach.
Yeah, and this is not, sometimes with these landfall things, you can treat it as an ETB if you like hold your land and then cast it and then play your land.
Can't do that with a 6-drop very much. Yeah.
Can't do that here. You do need to like untap with it to start popping off.
Tough. Yeah. Yeah, so
For that reason, we were both skeptical. We both gave it a D plus. Also double pipped, interestingly.
Yeah, it would probably be a little too good as a splash in like the multicolor, like blue-green. Like, it seems very, very good there. That's probably where the double pips come from. Yeah, a little bit out on this one. So that's red. Thoughts on red? I think it's not overtly like, oh, clearly this is a really good color. I think it pairs very well with black. Maybe decently with white. Maybe decently with blue. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Red's removal package seems like a really nice support color for pretty much everything. But if people are just going to be taking the removal spells and not playing red as a base color, I am interested in like a base red, like beatdown deck. Like the uncommons we've seen, some of them hit really hard.
Yeah.
So I think if there's an aggressive deck in the format, it's going to have.
Yeah, I think that's, often we see in these slower formats, kind of paradoxically, a mono red deck kind of does emerge sometimes. Like things like swing all the way back around, like kind of like you're saying here, where it's like, yeah, most people are playing a pretty slow game, maybe not hitting their 2-drop, maybe ignoring the crappy, combat tricks or whatever. So yeah, you can really get under them. So yeah, we'll see. I definitely see that as a direction red could go. So will be pretty interesting.